Called order meeting of the Platteville Board of Trustees. Start with a moment of silence for all those who serve and protect us at home and abroad. Y'all please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Ralston, Trustee Clark, Trustee Hatcher, Trustee Morris, Trustee Nelson,
Here.
Trustee Schneider,
Here.
Mayor Calvert.
Here. Okay, y'all have taken a look at the agenda, a motion from the board to approve tonight's agenda. Second. A motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Presentations. We have Hans Rodvik here from XL Energy for a presentation. Hans?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, town board. Good to see everybody here. Coordinate this. So we just wanted to come in and give a quick update. There was obviously a couple of outages in July that were a little impactful. Gives us some nightmares of what it's like a couple years ago in 2024 when I first started in this role. But I just want to provide, a high level overview. We can make this a good conversation so you guys can take information back to the constituents and residents in the area. Our teams have been doing a ton of work just kind of northwest of town where our substation is off of County Road 33 and 1930. And we're doing a lot of work out there to improve the system, add more capacity and make it a lot more reliable here for the residents. So we'll run through the slides, but feel free after each one, you guys can ask questions. There are no dumb questions when it comes to talking about electricity and how it all works. So feel free to stop me if you have something come to mind. So there were two outages on the 12th and the 20th here. Both of them impacted about 1,000 customers in town, which is pretty much the majority of the community here. And then both of them uniquely were about 2 hours each. They both happened during those real hot days. We were pushing, upper 90s, 100. So we were in those enhanced wildfire settings. For some of the newer board members that weren't around when I last presented, those are essentially settings that we put on our system with SCADA devices and kind of high-tech computers. We're able to change the sensitivity of the lines. And so when it's relatively hot and windy, the lines are much more sensitive. And if they have any sort of contact on them, they immediately de-energize. And we do that during those days to kind of make sure we're not starting a wildfire. And both of those days, the crews weren't able to establish a clear cause of what that fault stemmed from. But both of them happened at the same location and tripped off. So when we're in those settings, we have to really send crews out to patrol the lines, the whole feeder, make sure that nothing's actually on it before we re-energize. So no equipment failure, but it could have been a branch, it could have been a bird or a squirrel. A lot of times we see that. Animals like to get in there, and then tree branches as well really are those kind of two primary causes when we see these. And so following these couple of outages, we can go to the next slide here. I talked with our area engineer to look at how we're going to make improvements on the system. Before we get to that though, I kind of want to talk about look back and then we'll look forward. So back in 2024, when we came out here with Robert, our president over here for XL Colorado, we came out and talked to the town. We only had one feeder supplying power, which caused some real challenges. We had no way to refeed anyone anytime there was an outage, and that feeder was completely maxed out. when I talk about feeders, these are the main power lines that come right out of the substation and then reach out to everybody's homes and businesses. So they're kind of like the critical backbone, the roads, to envision them as the roads to get to a highway. And so we only had one feeder. It was really maxed out. It was causing those concerns, right? Whether folks wanted to put solar on their homes or just businesses wanted to move into the area. We were really maxed out on that capacity. So since then, we have installed a second feeder and we did service in July or January of this year. So that helped even out the system a little bit better. So that improves reliability. So when one feeder potentially has an issue, we're able to shift things back. It also helps with capacity, right? The guys from TFP came online and they're accessing that feed, the power from that new feeder. So it's very important to get that into service and get that up and running, so that the town can grow and accommodate more, businesses and residents in the area.
But now would this second feeder have any effect on the power outages?
So outside of those days during those EPSS settings, I would say generally there's a possibility of being able to switch things around. But two feeders would generally provide more reliable service. But during those enhanced wildfire settings, things get a little more complicated and we're not able to shift things around as easily as we normally would.
You said the two outages were based at the same general area location.
Yeah.
Can you say, is that close to Platteville or is it somewhere further away?
Yeah, it's kind of northwest of town.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
we
it's,
need to knock some trees down or what?
yeah, I'm gonna talk about that here in a second. So we go to the next slide. So that was kind of a look back, right? What have we done really since, I would say, since July? We've engaged our teams to kind of outline these kind of 5 main priorities here. Wildfire protection devices. These just add more safety enhancements to the system and like specific guards where the fuses are tied in. We identified there's a particular pole that has some older equipment on it that we're going to get swapped out. The fuse coordination, again, that's just making sure everything is correctly sized on the system, right? A lot of this equipment is probably older, and as people have installed, bigger appliances, more electric appliances in their homes, those fuses get tapped out. And then the vegetation management, I think, is really key. The feeder and the Platteville region is within our tier 2 wildfire risk zone for Excel. And so what that means, it's a higher wildfire risk than say, downtown central Greeley or something like that, highly irrigated urban center. And so we have prioritized tier 3 and tier 2 risk zones with the vegetation management. So we've hired contractors and they have gone through and cleared both of the feeders coming out of the substation here in 2025. So they did a 10-foot perimeter on both sides of the line of our power lines. So you might have seen some of those guys driving around and clearing trees. I just got an update from our vegetation management director, and he said we are coming back actively here, and we'll probably have targeted tree removals, like problem trees done by October. So that work's going to take place between September, August, September, October here. We got about 11 or 12 trees that we identified.
Well, I know a crew came through not that long ago and did townwide pole inspections. Is that completely done now?
Oh, yeah, the pole inspections are also part of it. We have also prioritized areas in higher wildfire risk zones and gone and done testing on all of our wooden poles, and we're replacing those ahead of end of life. Generally, we get 12 to 15 years out of those poles, and if there's any signs of risk or decay, we're getting those swapped out. I want to make sure I have the information in front of me. So we'll be 11 hazard trees. Yeah, so it's a bit of a lower number since we just completed everything in 2025. But as you as the town board, if you guys ever do see poles on lines, whether it's in your backyards or your alleyways or anything out, kind of on the outskirts of town, give me a call and we can identify those and we'll try to prioritize those as well.
Well, it's mostly Old Town and then the lines coming into town because everything else is on.
Yep.
When you were here last time, there were some people in the audience said that they had small solar farms, whatever it is. And they said they couldn't hook, Excel wouldn't hook up because they didn't have the infrastructure. Do you now have the infrastructure?
I'll have to double check with our team, but I imagine since we added that second feeder, there's a lot more capacity here and available for people to do that.
Because we at the town have a project we're gonna work on our sewer lagoon system.
Yep.
So we wanna have a discussion about when the time comes.
Yeah. So generally, you have a substation with a transformer bank that allows, it's about a 50 megawatt capacity. You can normally get around 3 feeders out of those. Each feeder, kind of the real max is like 15 megawatts. Prior to installing that second feeder, the feeder for Platteville was at like 16 megawatts. So it was already past the breaking point, really. So I imagine the team has probably divided that load relatively evenly, so probably around 8 and 8. So there should be a much more capacity on the system for those folks who are wanting to get solar on their roofs. We call it an interconnect. It's essentially they're sending power back onto the grid and we have to have room to take that. And so I can double check with our team because I know that was a hot topic a couple years ago.
When you buy power, do you buy it at the wholesale level?
Well, we generate our own power and then we try to find
No, but
anytime.
these people that are with the little solar panel farms and stuff like that.
The way that it works is essentially it comes back as a credit on the bill.
I haven't,
I'm not an expert in it, so let's see if you've got
I get,
expertise.
I get the 2 bills. One's a credit and then one's a charge, and the charge is typically very low because it's that connection that you have to have. It's like $9 or something. But typically year round, I'm running a credit.
Some years ago, our library puts the solar array on the roof, probably 15, 16 years ago, maybe. And not till recently did they actually have a bill to pay. I mean, they basically had, like Mrs. said, 0 credit.
Yep.
But depending on your investment, your return on investment, it just takes time.
Yeah.
Whether it be 10, 20, 30 years, so.
I'll follow up with the team though, find out, see how that's looking.
If you have a good contact, send it to me regarding how to connect back to that when we do a solar array.
Yeah, I'll get you synced up. We have a team that can help with that for those solar systems. So kind of like looking ahead now to the future, the modernization plan really is the major upgrades out of the substation. And so we got the feeder in, which was really important, but for future growth and to kind of make the system really good for the foreseeable future, we have been doing a lot of work inside our fence over there. And so we've added a second transformer, and new gear and new equipment. We're going to reroute some of the lines coming in and out of the substation. Basically, this is going to add an enormous amount of capacity. So from 1 feeder to 2, well, you basically double how much, from 1 transformer to 2, you'll double how much is available. We're doing this, to help the Platteville region, but obviously with a lot of oil and gas, electrification and everything in the region, we're seeing that. So we're making these investments and expect this to be done by basically next fall. We're working with the county on the permitting right now. I just saw some emails today and we'll work through that process. But that'll be a big one. Very excited to get that moving. So again, we're kind of talking about the capacity, right, for future growth. I know Troy's got big plans for what the town wants to do and try to attract some of those commercial businesses, bigger industrial users. Again, the double transformers, and then once you have those 2 feeders in, it adds that redundancy in the system. So if anything does ever happen at the very first transformer, our guys can go back out there and kind of switch things and plug it into the second one. So you've got the redundancy. We don't want transformer failures. They're rare. But if it happens, we've got that backup there. And again, there's some of the new kind of technical equipment out there that allow us to have remote control and just overall, enhanced system upgrades within the substation. So this kind of just shows the timeline from a visual lens where we're at. We got the feeder in service. We're obviously going through the permitting and design, and then we'll hopefully get started on construction here in the early part of 27. Wait for the equipment to show up, get it in service and energized. And that pretty much kind of wraps it up. Obviously, if there's ever any questions you guys have about what we have going on, any programs that you need to learn more information about, I'm here to help and just provide answers. Work with Troy a lot and David on any of the times there's outages, try to get feedback to them. So open to answer any questions you guys have.
Would there be an opportunity for the board to have a tour at some point?
Yeah. Yeah, we could definitely go tour the substation. Probably have to stay outside the fence.
Sure.
But if you guys ever want to go tour the Fort St. Vrain as well, we could organize that.
If you've never been there to this Fort St. Vrain Museum, it's worth the time. It talks about the history out there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of work happening out at Fort St. Vrain. Right now, we're adding 2 new big turbines, so adding a bunch more generation to the whole grid, and all the transmission lines, right? We got those done, crossed Highway 85 a couple months back. Just a ton of work over there. That power plant will be the biggest in Colorado once it's done. So very proud of it. We've got some awesome guys that work up there, and they always like to show it off and showcase the history.
Are
So
you gonna have to put more gas pipes in if you're putting in 2 more turbines?
we'll route some more lines over to the new ones. But the existing, with the big, input that we get our.
The main feeder is enough to handle 2 more turbines?
Yeah. A lot of gas. But we need it, really need it as the system. So we add a lot more renewables. We really need that base load gas generation to keep everything good when sun's not shining and the wind's not blowing. I love Fort St. Vrain. It's a great place, and always happy to show it off if you guys want to come check it out.
Yeah.
And I was excited this year. We got to participate in Harvest Days, the golf tournament. And thank you, Troy and Kyra and the team, for putting that all together. As a future forecast, our franchise agreement is coming up for renewal in 2028. So we'll probably start those conversations by the end of the year, I would imagine. Probably get by the end of the year, probably early in 2027, to get the information out, the draft over to Troy and the team. Pretty standard. We've updated the language, condensed it a little bit. We're doing our franchise agreements with some of the bigger metro cities to include Denver. So that template is kind of what we're now using for everybody else. So
I saw the initial draft here a year or 2 ago, so it's been kind of pending.
yeah, I'm hopeful, we'll get that kicked off because, we don't want to miss it. Obviously, we don't have enough time for everybody to have review and ask questions and get input from the community.
Do you have a program? I thought maybe I'd heard of such a program, but for people who have medical needs and can't suffer a power outage, you have programs to help them get some type of battery backups
Yes.
provided to them?
Yes, I would love to talk to you guys about that. We rolled out a program earlier this year. Basically, we were providing a $10,000 grant to anyone who has a medical device at their home, and they're basically qualify as a medical customer. And they either have to live in a tier 2 or 3 REACH wildfire zone, so Platteville is in that. And it is not being taken advantage of. So I would love to help you guys get some residents informed.
Get something.
Troy with Janet and their senior population, I think we have some needs there, so.
Yeah, if you want me to come and do a presentation on it and talk to folks.
Yeah.
We got flyers. It's a super cool program. So we carved out money from like our wildfire mitigation program, carved out like $3 million. And it's just not like we're not getting the word out. So I'd love to help spread the word. Get some
We
folks-
might have another place for you to come and talk.
Okay.
Send me some more, I think I had some from me at one point when it kicked off. Will you send me some updates? We'll put it on our website too,
Yeah,
especially with winter coming on and.
yep. Yeah, but it's a pretty substantial deal. We're doing the battery stuff. I wish we were gonna broach into kind of like the backup generators, but company's leaning into the battery side of things right now. But, yeah, we've got a program and process for people to do it, and great to get the word out and come talk to folks about it.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah,
I think I'd bring that in
I've
there.
heard some about it.
Yeah. And I'll put in another plug for one of our fun programs. You guys, when you came to CML, you might have met one of my colleagues, Daniel Venegas, talking about the red truck. So it's all
Yeah.
resources, education delivered. And we have ours based now in Fort Collins. So we got 5 of them around the state. Basically a van / truck, whatever you want to call it. And with a bunch of resources, and we send it out to community events and like resource fairs, all for free. We send a couple staff members, and they can talk to people about billing, talk to people about whether they need to get on like energy assistance programs and stuff like that. So it's super cool, super free. I can share that information again, Troy, like perfect for harvest days or any other like summer events or programs you guys have going on throughout the year.
Is it available on short notice?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got it in Fort Collins now, so it's ready to roll.
You decide Friday night or Saturday afternoon.
I'll take a look. I'll sit down and see if we got our.
Preferably Friday night, because the locals come Friday night and that'd be down here at Lincoln Park.
Yeah, I'll take a look and see if it's available.
Okay, just let me know.
Thank you, guys. Feel
All
free to
right.
reach out, text, call, email, whatever you need.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hans.
Thanks, Hans. Yep, appreciate it.
Okay, let's move on to staff reports. Start with senior and rec. Janet?
I was not prepared for this to happen just quickly, hopefully. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You have my report in front of you. I'm happy to answer any questions. I did want to let you know that we had a senior fall yesterday in the kitchen, and she broke, they call it a hip break, but they had to put a rod in her femur. So that was exciting yesterday. Thankfully, it was a blood pressure check day, and the paramedics were right there.
Right there.
So, yeah, it was,
We won't mention names, but if you're
No.
curious, talk to Janet offline, so. Are the senior Tuesday meals done now?
they are done.
Done.
They are done. Thank
So the board knows you paid for most of those, so thank you for
You're welcome.
that. You've done it the last 2 years, and that's a benefit to me and the seniors, so.
Well, and we had a big turnout this year.
Yeah, so,
Every one of ours were over 55, 60.
yeah, we had 45. When we have entertainment, we always attract more people. But they started out with about 45 to 50 people and then grew each week. The last week we had 75. So it was a good turnout. And, you know, when people come, we get people from other communities that come, and they're just surprised at what a nice senior center we have and how much our community does to support the senior population, because that doesn't happen in every community.
And your Yellowstone trip.
We leave September 21st. We just got the hotel rooms booked, airline booked, rental car done, and the 2 excursions that were going on booked. So that is all set up.
Stay away from the buffalo, please.
Yeah, we will not these with buffaloes.
We don't want to see you on.
No.
Yeah, national.
No, definitely not looking to be on the news. Yeah, we have
He
a,
looks at me when he's.
we have a
Are you
good,
going or you staying?
I'm
There you
going.
go.
It's the first
I didn't
time.
mean to look at you like that.
You going
It's the
now?
first time I actually get to go on one of the trips.
There you go.
so, and we do, currently have we just moved up over 50 for our end of summer barbecue on August 30th. And so I'd like to invite all of the board and their family to come. The band that we're having perform is Loose Change. They're a country western band. So it should be a lot of fun. And our goal is to have 100 people in attendance, 100 seniors.
I'm gonna be out of town. I'm sorry.
The band on the community center side.
Yes. Yeah, it is a 5-piece band. It will not fit in the senior center. So,
And you don't want
You said
them,
August 30th?
yes,
What time?
Oh, so it's a Sunday.
it's a Sunday.
Oh, okay, I'll be here Sunday.
So doors open at 4:30. We eat at 5:30 and then the band will start directly after we get everyone fed. Nick typically helps us cook. So we'll do an assortment of,
What time did you say?
doors open at 4:30 and we'll eat at 5:30.
Any other questions for Janet? If not, we'll move on to police.
Thank you, Mayor. Really don't have anything else to add. School resumed last week and off to a good start, but I'm happy to answer any other questions you guys have.
Getting any of your, vehicles coming to the end of their service life here?
We have a couple of them actually that are, one is at 160,000 and then one is shortly behind that. One's an Explorer and the other one's an old CNG that we got from years ago. You
Yeah.
probably remember that.
Those pickups sell pretty good, don't they, when you are ready to get rid of them?
Yeah, the CNG aspect of it hurts things once in a while because not everyone can work on those. But yeah, we make some money on them. I think the last one you inherited, right? In the shops, yeah.
Well, basically, at the end of it all, you were paid to take them. I mean, you know, when you look at
$1,000 for a new vehicle.
Yeah, that's a good program. I think we bought 4 in Public Works and 5 or 6 in the PD and our cost was 17% of the cost.
all those pickups,
So they're about 60,000, we pay about 7,000.
how did the pickups work out, chief?
They worked well. I mean, if you ask the line officers, some of them max out at 80. So they don't like that aspect of it. But they really worked out well for us, and because they maxed out at only 80, they probably lasted years longer than they would have otherwise. So,
Was that let me ask you this, was that the design from the factory or is that the design from the chief?
no, that came off the lot that way. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because pickups aren't meant to go at high rates of speed. They're not designed for that because of the rollover capacity.
Well, those SUVs aren't any better.
Yeah, and honestly, you can't outrun a radio, so just get on the radio.
I don't know, these crotch rockets, I really wonder, I think they can outrun anything and everything.
I don't know, that guy went from Colorado Springs all the way up through Denver and it didn't matter, he still ended up in trouble.
Well, when
Didn't
you have,
matter, he did it in 20 minutes, he still got in jail.
when you have a big mouth, that's always a problem. So in the next year or two, we can expect to have to deal with a couple vehicles.
Yes, if, that would be ideal, yes.
It'll be
At least one a year, yeah.
The vehicles will be discussing budget starting next month. Well, October with the board.
How is your budget for vehicle replacement?
It's well.
But I forgot.
Yeah, you guys approved us. Not only the money for the unit itself, but the radio and the stickers and whatever, and we had a lot of extra this year because the Explorer we got at the beginning of the year had half of the stuff already in it. The cage, the radio, wiring, the small lights on there. So anyway, that saved us a bunch of money. So it was really good this year.
Are the vehicles you're getting from Chicago, are they? Are
They
they
worked
working
out really well for us so far. Yep.
Okay. No repairs or anything like that out of the ordinary?
Only minor, yeah, only nothing out of the ordinary.
Good, good. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to Public Works. Grant?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have anything to add to my report. Last month, the question had come up about where we were at on the water year. And so I kind of outlined that in the report under water system. And then I also included the spreadsheet we get from Central Little County Water. So I'd be happy to attempt to answer any questions.
Who is responsible for getting the weeds out of the sidewalk cracks?
Well, it depends on exactly, I mean, combination of homeowner slash if it's alongside the roadway, then it probably falls on the town.
I see it on Division.
Okay. We're at on Division.
North of the middle school is quite a few on the, well, obviously on the east side.
Those are private owners.
What's that saying? You see it, you own it?
I've got our code officer working on that.
Okay.
Yep.
There's goat heads on Division, north of Grand, coming across the sidewalk.
Right where that's at.
And there was something else. Oh. You would know, you should know, is there a time restriction on installing that water line on County Road 19? For that, PUD?
Guess I don't, I mean, when you say a time.
Do they have to have it in by a certain time? Or they have to start over?
I don't remember if there was anything in their
I
agreement.
think the development agreement had a 3 or 5 year vesting period. I'll double check.
And we're probably closing in. If it's 3, we're probably closing in on that, where they're
I'd have
gonna
to
have to
double
do
check,
something.
but I know there was some delay in the design, but it's pretty close. David's been in contact with Central on that. So.
They keep telling us they're close. Let's put it that way.
Well, the thing I was thinking about is that there, I don't see any activity there at all. And that's why I just wonder if that can is gonna get kicked down the road, because that's a very expensive thing. And if they don't have a return or see a return in a reasonable amount of time,
Right.
they might decide that it's not as good a deal as they initially thought. It would be nice if we knew, had some kind of an idea. I realize they can't tell us, yes, we're just gonna jump on it tomorrow. But if they're having second thoughts or something, it would be nice to know about that.
I know there's some activity, Steve, because Rose Valdez, our representative with CDOT Region 4, contacted me and Lindsay regarding that development. So they've been recently contacted about the requirement either probably to signalize 66 and 19 or do some improvements over there. And that's part of the discussion. There's a trigger on that development that they're gonna be forced by CDOT to do something at 19, at 66.
Right.
So that just came up last week. So I know there's something in the works. I just don't,
Okay, so there is activity.
there's definitely activity.
Okay.
Yep.
See, I hadn't heard anything. That's why I thought maybe it had been stagnating.
Well, when Central, and Dave can help me out on this, when they do these water studies and designs, depending on the scope of project, they could take a year or two. It's a big project.
Yeah, they're finalizing, this one was not, the developer wanted to use themselves or their contractor versus Central's contractor, and that's where some of the negotiation has been happening, but because until they get to the entrance to the subdivision where the new master meter is gonna go, that is not online. We are not heavily involved or involved in those
We're not discussing
conversations.
all on that part.
And
Okay.
some of the background noise that I've heard is that the developer is trying to make sure that they've got at least 3, preferably 4 of those lots ready to roll at the time they start. The rest, where they've got some interested parties. They've got 1 or 2 right now. They've got a couple more people that are looking and considering, and they would like to have those so that they've got those dollars committed when they start making that investment, in the water, the investment in the traffic signal, those kinds of things.
I can understand that, because we've had people say that they're gonna go in at railroad land and other places, and then everything just drops off the line. And I know why. I mean, people are scared and they don't even know what they're scared of. One other thing, water. It looks to me, I read it 3 or 4 times. It looks like we have plenty of water to get us through the year. It looks like we typically have plenty of water to get us through the year. My question is, does it make sense to spend all that money to buy up that asset, to pay for an asset that we haven't used, that I don't know if we've ever used? I don't remember what you said the term was when you pay for water you don't use going forward.
Well, you mean, in this year, we purchased 182 carryover shares last year.
Yes, sir.
What, I don't understand it super well, but my understanding is that part of what we bought from last year, if it doesn't get used, we'll have the opportunity again next year. But they also, at the end of the season, they will let out some of those extra shares and we get some money back. And I don't recall what that was. I believe it balanced out pretty close to what we paid in the spring. We collected in the fall from the extra water that was sold or leased. So I think it's a net 0 for the town, but I would have to get some more information.
Okay, so my understanding is that we had to pay by that carryover. So now, okay, would you illuminate us in the future when you find that out, like at budget time?
I will.
I'd
take it to
appreciate
level.
that.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions for David?
I was just kind of curious. I saw you doing something for like the oversized and overweight vehicles. Obviously, that's something that's been a potential issue in town. Do we sell a lot of oversized, overweight permits for trucks going through?
We don't have a lot of them. Most of the oil and gas companies that come in, that move a rig through, they are very good about getting the permit.
Okay.
They also have figured out that if they stay on CDOT roadways, they deal with CDOT and not with us, which in some ways is easier because they're used to CDOT all the time. And we actually prefer it that way.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, most of the trucks that are coming through town meet the threshold.
I see a fair amount. I don't know if it'd be a lot though, but they come down like, just right by here. But I was just
Right.
curious if it's
Right.
if there's a lot of them or not.
Well, and the company that was reaching out to us, they are, they're moving their equipment to one of the yards up here at the Platteville Energy Park. Access Energy. So they wanted to make sure that even though it's only about 3/4 of a mile, that they are permitted for all those vehicles, and they wanted to work with us on an annual basis, kind of a fleet permit versus every day or every week or every month trying to
Right.
find another permit to deal with that. So,
Great.
yeah,
I think that's a great one.
I told Troy, I appreciate the fact that they're trying to do it right.
Right.
So,
Being proactive about it. And,
and,
yeah.
I mean, Hans was talking about the new, turbines out at
Yeah.
the plant. When those came up, I would have liked to have actually known when they were coming in. It was 21 axles, 31 axles. They had a pusher and
Oh, yeah.
it was articulating.
A lot of people were upset that they were in their way.
They originally wanted to come through town and we worked with the county and CDOT to say no.
Not making that curve at Sturkle. Not gonna make that curve.
Not gonna make it.
I said something about a 5-year bond for water line repairs and they started looking elsewhere. So did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yes,
Rick, something to the chief.
sure. He hasn't left yet.
Well, they're not good.
You should have left.
What David was just talking about, the oversized, overweight. Are your officers trained on how to recognize something like that? And would they pull someone over?
Do they have the authority to is another question.
Sure, in town they would have.
They usually share with us if we should be expecting a huge something or another here. But, we can stop if they're in violation on, some officers know some stuff in regards to what they can and can't do, load, weight, safety logs, CDLs. They know some of that, not all.
There's a bunch of the dump trucks that are totally different than what we were just talking
Yes,
about, that are
exactly.
not legal and compliant that run through town.
Right, yep.
Sidebar, I'm willing, I can't help with the, what you guys are legally allowed to as far as who has the authority, you versus CDOT or CSP or whatever. But I do DOT annual trainings for mechanics and fleets and that, so.
Oh, awesome.
If you ever need help
I
with
appreciate it.
information on that, I'm willing
With
to.
all the gravel trucks coming
How about
out,
that?
I think that might be a good idea.
Absolutely, thanks, for sure.
So I noticed last weekend, the pit at 685 looks like it's winding down. They're cleaning that up, but the one further north by 44 is gearing up hot and heavy. And Brandon today was throwing trucks out on 66 today too. So it's not gonna slow down.
Well, and Salton, they've been hauling to the oil and gas facility just out here on 34, just south of the power plant there on the opposite side of 34.
They're at 19.
And they've been,
Hmm.
I don't know, they've got a mountain growing out there of material that they've been hauling and so.
They're gonna wear the dirt out in this state moving it around.
That could be.
Some big holes developing, that's for sure.
Yes. And then they fill it.
Anything else? If not, we'll move on to approval of our consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I think some of the staff need to leave, so I'm gonna ask if we can excuse them.
Well, yeah, you guys can leave. That's why we do the reports early. Thanks. So any meeting, you're done, you can leave. Thank you.
I just want to break that awkward moment for me.
I understand. That's why I had us move it to the front of the meeting, so you guys didn't have to stay for the whole meeting.
Thank you very much.
Feel free to leave after you're done.
Squeeze out.
All right. No, you have to stay.
Make
Okay.
a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Motion is second. All those in favor? Opposed?
I have a comment
Carries.
in regard to that. At budget, could we buy some more Ls to provide to the town manager?
Some more what?
Ls, letter L.
Yeah, I suppose.
Why?
For,
Anybody look at the financials?
oh,
Oh.
The town of Pattville?
Yeah,
Pat Mill.
I had several typos. It's just like the next one is CDGB, not BG, so.
Right. I was gonna ask about
I
that.
had several typos this time.
It's just too much fun to pass up.
You're not proofreading? You're,
Well, spell check doesn't always work now.
Danette, you're not proofreading? I guess I need to start.
You go. Okay, let's move to our action items. First item, community development blocks grants for sub-receipt agreement. Mr. Rankin.
Yeah, they call these sub-recipient agreements, so there's two in front of you. One is the pending one with Lincoln Park. And I indicated, David, I met with Cynthia Martin with the program at Will County. All that involves is moving that date out to December instead of September because of the delay in the design, so that's pretty straightforward. And then the newest one is for Riverview Park for next year. That'll be the brand new agreement that you'll be approving and going in front of Will County Commissioners to approve. So Mayor, you would sign those, but not date them because they have to date them. So that's just how that works. So, but this will be with Riverview, it'll be our third grant. And then per that conversation that David and I had with Cynthia, we're looking at next year's opportunity. We're looking at doing probably either some sidewalk enhancements or looking at doing some AD accessibility improvements to the Pioneer Museum. Town Hall is exempt because it's a primary government facility, so we can't do anything here. I was gonna redo our window out here, our service window for accessibility, so if someone comes up in a wheelchair, but I can get around it because I can limit the door to an accessible counter, so that's how I get around it. The Pioneer Museum bothers me because we have 80, 90-year-old women that are managing that building, and it has probably a 12% slope on that sidewalk out front, which is not accessible. But the state hasn't said anything yet, but that's something I want to focus on.
Is that illegal?
It's not accessible.
It's not acceptable. Okay. Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
Well, I didn't know. I thought maybe if there was a mechanism that we had to be forced to do it, maybe there was somebody
Well-
would give us a grant.
I think if somebody complained to the ADA,
We've got to figure out a way to get that. I mean, it has improved a little bit because years ago, the history, society spent their own money to do the landscaping and do basically the stamped concrete, but the slope wasn't fixed. We need to work on that slope somehow, some way. So I'm going to get our engineer involved with that process. So, but anyway, that's for another good discussion this fall, but I don't have anything else to add tonight on these subrecipient agreements.
Any other questions? Not, do I have a motion on the board?
approve the amendment to the subrecipient agreement for the Lincoln Park restroom project and approve the subrecipient agreement for the Riverview Park restroom.
Second.
A motion second, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, resolution 2026-15 Valley football donation.
This is an annual request. About a month ago, Chris Tiskey stopped by and picked up our cornhole boards. They're doing a little tournament. I asked about the golf tournament and, the changing of coaches and basically how they do fundraising. They didn't do the golf tournament this year, which we donated last year too. So I thought it'd still be worthwhile to help our boys out at Valley High School. As you all know, all the sports teams at the high school, they have to provide their own money. The school doesn't give them money. So it's all through fundraising and donations for all their gear and extra stuff and their meals, their travel. I mean, the school pay for the bus driver and the bus and the fuel, but that's about it. They don't pay for the food. So, had my son graduate a few years ago, I know that firsthand with fundraising. So,
How many more requests for donations can we expect before
well, the
financials?
we usually get more in the spring, but this,
Well, that's-
we'll have prom and then a couple, the elementary school ones, of course, middle school is no longer here. We used to have a couple of homeless drugs and we had another one, but we don't get any requests anymore. Most of them are coming through the high school. And honestly, you as a board have a reputation at the high school right now for helping them out. So, but,
Maybe or Christmas time? I don't know.
We had cheerleaders.
Oh, yeah,
we
you're
have the
doing.
cheerleaders, yeah. And we always do FBLA, FHA.
Yeah.
ELA.
And the baseball team is not doing harvest days this year as far as fundraisers. So when I talked to Steve, they build up enough now. They're good for a year. But they've never really asked us for anything, but we've helped them out with fundraising. But I really don't know for sure. But usually in the fall, it slows down quite a bit. You have plenty of money in your budget for donations.
And that was why I asked that, because maybe it'd be a good time to give them $400.
Make the motion.
Make a motion to donate to the Valley Football donation request, the sum of $400.
A second?
Second.
A motion is second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Clark,
Yes.
trustee Morris,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes.
trustee Snyder.
Aye, yes.
Motion carries. Do we need to make up a different resolution?
I think I can just change one page, but I'll look. If I need to get you to sign a different one,
Okay.
I'll let you know.
All right. Thank you.
I was remiss in not naming the numbers. Sorry about that.
Fine. Next item, resolution 2026-16 sidewalk improvement IGA.
Thank you, Mayor. Pretty lengthy agreement, as you will see. This was a grant award a couple of years ago through the Multimodal Option Fund, which is basically a grant project through CDOT. We had one years ago when we did the Division Boulevard sidewalks on I think that was in 2020 roughly, where we built the sidewalk on the west side division from Reynolds to Goodrich, I believe. We've done 4 sidewalk projects, but 1 MMOF. Now this one is for the downtown area. So it's been pending. The money was kind of here and then gone and then here again. This is federally funded. So the president's budget this last year had some ups and downs. Actually, half of our award was taken from the governor a few months ago when they set the state budget, because he had the authority to do that. The program had about 10 million in there for MMOF, and he took that to backfill the state budget. So that's part of a public hearing conversation that was part of it. So CDOT came about and they found the money through other programs, and they basically begged and borrowed from future allocations because they wanted to make all of our projects whole. So that's kind of summary where we're at tonight. So we've got our money. It's just short of $1 million project. The grant coming from CDOT is $696,230. Our local match, which will be in next year's budget, we're going to talk about this fall, will be $232,077. So it's a pretty good match requirement.
Now, these numbers, Troy, will they include engineering?
No, these are construction numbers only.
And so that's gonna be on, the onus of that will be on us.
That'll be
right?
on us.
Can we get DOLA money to cover any of that?
No. I already talked to Chris and May about that.
So that's gonna be another
That'd be
70 to
75 to
50,000.
75 to 80,000.
75 to 80,000.
I talked to Brad Curtis about that.
So we'll have to cough up about 350.
And it's not gonna get any cheaper. And the challenge with this project, if you're familiar as you are with Main Street, the west sidewalks aren't too bad. Tijuana's, Mountain Constructors, there's a little step up there, but
Tier 1's gotta get some curb.
Yeah. And part of that is new curb and gutter, new sidewalk. We want to modify some access points, like Tijuana's, the access is not correct. We need to modify that curb cut properly to where they get in and out of there. Talked to Benny over at the Silver Spur. There's really a wide open access. We need to modify that to where there's curb and gutter and an access between those buildings to where it's better flow and traffic. So you don't just drive wherever, which they do. Curb and gutter in front of Tijuana's is the worst. The sidewalk in front of K&O and Dr. Green is horrific. Horrible. But then all those, Silver Spur, the weight room, K&O, they all have step ups. So they're not ADA compliant.
The barber shop.
They have to be designed, and it's gonna be a challenge. So with your approval, then we start the process. So we will spend money through our fund for Brad Curtis to start doing the design. If I included design in the project, we would have had to bid it out. And I like using an engineer we've had for that many years to do our own design. I usually do grants to where they pay for construction, because that's the money I want instead of design. I want to control design.
How are you going to get CDOT to cooperate in front of Justin's place?
It's their program.
Yes, but that doesn't mean they're gonna, as well as I do, they want us to give permission, and then they want to think about it for a year or two.
Well, I think in this one, they're facilitating. So Armando Ochoa is our project manager through CDOT. I've usually worked with Bryce Reeves and a few others, but Armando's a new one that I haven't worked with yet. He's been good to work with so far. We haven't met in person. But I indicated to him, I want to get the design done by the end of this year and then break ground. At least get it bid out in the spring and break ground next summer. This has been pending. I'm worried about with the change in federal government constantly that the money could disappear again. So I'm pushing this as hard as I can to get this project done next year, 2027. So Brad will do the design per CDOT standards, get them to stamp off on the design. We have to survey with the engineer. And in the same part of this process, I'm gonna meet with Heather Paddock, Regional Board Director, to see if we can partner on some maintenance money to at least get those 4 blocks repaved once the sidewalks are done, to make downtown look nice again. So that's my overall arching goal. Not to devolve Main Street, but to do maintenance money, we may see if we have to do a partnership and put it a little bit ourselves. I think it'd be worth it for our citizens.
Have you asked the CDOT people if they would be open to, because in front of Justin, in front of Dr. Green's office, I really think that we're gonna have to do some road changes. Maybe lift up and put a pipe in or put a speed dip through there, which would be the most logical thing, but you know, that would be something the government doesn't.
And Ms. Paddock and I have talked about storm drains on Main Street several times over the years because there's no inlets on Main, it's all surface flow. So the surface on Main from basically the middle school area will flow to Goodrich, to the Norton Ditch, go over to Division and flood Division all the way to Grant. Does it every time.
Every time.
And when we have a heavy enough rain like we did a year ago, July, it'll backflow on Main Street by Tijuana to Crack Dig and all that area. So it's a challenge. That's definitely for sure. The town has the only inlets along Grand with some side inlets on Olive, Liberty, different areas. But Grand from Main, in between Old Homestead and Rogers is our main sewer or stormwater system. But none of Old Town has anything. It's all surface flow.
Yes, yeah. How many times I've watched.
Exactly. So I'm excited about this project. Been working on it for a long, long time. Actually, the bulb out and some of the landscape features comes from the 2016 streetscape program that we did with CU Denver students. We did that 10 years ago. So when I wrote the grant, not Armando, but Bryce was helping me out with it. He said, Troy, to make it more competitive, doing a landscape feature. So I showed him our plan. He said, do your bulb out. That's your heart of your downtown by your post office. That's your center. And you could do it like Fort Lupton did theirs. They just did it without CDOT. They just did it themselves, so I found out. But you can do them different ways. So you can do the rollover bulb outs on the corners, or more like Longmont, you can do the curbside to where you force the vehicles around it, so it's safer for pedestrians. So, but it's a nice visual feature downtown. And Dave and I talked about making the crosswalk stamped concrete with a different coloration, so that make it look nice. So anyway, that's some details. So kind of long-winded, I apologize, but this will be a 2027 budget item, but for the construction, we'll start doing design this year.
Any other questions? Not gonna have a motion from the board.
Motion to approve resolution 2026-16, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of Platteville approving an intergovernmental agreement with the state of Colorado for sidewalk improvement grant funds.
Second. Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, business grant application, Subway. Mr. Rankin.
I think I summarized this in the cover just a little bit, but basically, if you know Ashley Stoker, she owns both Platinum and the South Subways. A couple of months ago, she mentioned that her poodle went out here in the Platteville office. Didn't know we had this grant. And I said, this will qualify with the board for her to consider to help her out. So after some time, she's a busy lady. She actually moonlights on the weekends to help keep her businesses going, what she told me. I definitely want to recommend this to the board. Costs a couple $1,000s, 50%, which is 50/50, up to 5,000 is what your grant is. Her award would be $1,356.96. So I'm recommending this to help Ashley out down here at Subway. She's paid for it, but it would still.
Can I just say something about Ashley? Not once has she ever hesitated to help us with gift cards for harvest days. She puts little gift bags together for the Christmas stuff at the giveaways that we have down community center. She helps the school, and this is LaSalle and Platteville. She's constantly giving as much as she can give. So I think it's extra for us to give back to her.
And we still have plenty of money in that budget, right?
We've hardly spent any of that 50,000. I know there's one pending with Benny down at the Silver Spur. He had already approved it within the last year, but it was for stucco and he's trying to maybe do some siding instead and do it with his re-roof. So it's still pending, but you already approved that one, but it just hasn't been spent yet. So I try to get the word out, and when I met with Melissa Archambault today, we had a 4 o'clock meeting with Main Street Program. We have a meeting Thursday with the advisory committee to get that formalized, but on September 15th, you'll be invited. I'll talk about it more. We're gonna come and do a walkthrough of downtown and ask some businesses to come back and have some mid-afternoon brunch with us and talk about the program, but promote that grant program too. Because every little bit helps.
Yeah.
Some of those buildings need electrical work, new doors, new windows. I mean, you can help, so.
Okay, motion from the board,
Make a motion to approve the grant application for Ashley Stoker, owner of Subway, in the amount of $1,356.96 to assist with equipment repairs for the business.
I have a motion and a second, roll call please.
Trustee Clark,
Yes.
trustee Morris,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yeah,
Aye.
yes, yeah.
trustee Schneider.
Aye.
He carries. We'll move to committee reports, parks, trails and trees, nobody's here, and rec, we don't have anyone here, so we'll move to economic development.
Don't have anything to report. Last meeting didn't happen and
We didn't have a meeting,
yeah,
okay,
nothing to report yet.
nothing
But
new.
summer nights warm out.
Right.
But safety.
Nothing to report,
Nothing
nothing
to
new.
report there, huh? Okay. We'll move on to the town manager report. Rankin.
I didn't put Katie on the feet because I didn't know if she had a report or not,
Okay.
but if you have anything for Katie, she's available.
Troy brought to our attention a House bill that passed during this recent legislative session, so we're just working to review all the legislation that's going into effect this fall from the General Assembly's legislative session in May. I've only come across a couple so far. There's an affordable housing one that I have to look into, that creates or allows certain nonprofits and churches to build housing, and kind of creates a different process for them, more of an administrative application for certain housing that they would build. And then, there's like a funky gray water one that allows new developments to have gray water systems, which allows them to recycle water and reuse that water for irrigation. So it really seems like it wasn't a hot year for bills that affect local government, but we're gonna, make sure we're on top of.
It was the last few years.
Yeah, it was the last few years, so maybe there's a little break going into November. But anyway, we're just gonna make sure that we're on top of that. Yeah, that's the only real update I have.
Thank you. So the gray water bill is only for new development.
I believe so. Oh, gosh, I'm not sure, but I think that there might be different laws about rain catch systems in residential homes, allowing you to do that. I don't know off the top of my head.
Was, I think, pretty stringent.
Yeah,
That is not, if they pass that, that is not well thought out.
Well,
the gray water. Yeah, there's rules about, how you have to treat the water and then how it has to be, there has to be some backflow prevention and it has to be kept down in the water system. So I'm not sure that a lot of new developments.
I think that they're not thinking about the odor. I have been around that
Oh,
and
if you save a barrel of rainwater for a week, you'll know you have rainwater.
yeah,
for a week.
well, I was thinking in terms of the washing machines, that kind of gray water. That, when that builds up on the lawn, that's really nice. And if it's the law, you see just all the things all the problems that's gonna cause.
there's a lot of legislation. I was talking to Carl, Katie mentioned this legislation on crosswalks, which will come your way. They will extend crosswalks or not crosswalks, school zones from 200 feet to 1,000 feet. When you look at our schools, right on 66, we would have to do a school zone on the other side of the river at the curve.
I'll be riding the
Makes
school
no
zone
sense.
with my work.
It makes no sense. So
People don't slow down for it as it is.
I was gonna say, they don't slow down now, so what makes you think they're gonna slow down further down the road?
what's the basis of this legislation? But the same thing with the gray water. There's a lot of legislation that's not really thought through. I can mention affordable housing,
Oh,
but
geez.
there's a lot going on right now. But
I think there's a lot of education that needs to happen with the great water.
needs to be a lot more logical conversation.
Absolutely.
The only affordable housing in this whole town is at the museum. That's the only affordable housing in the whole town that I see for the future.
A couple of things in my report real quick. I mentioned real weld in the application, so that IJ is off the shelf now. It's gonna be a process. I want to talk to the board about more during the budget season. During the golf permit, I talked to Tim Laxton a little bit and he explained a little bit more depth about Ron Von Limke and the board's decision. It was just, it's hard to control and manage what they were wanting to do with the town on the IJ because it came down to who had the final say in so many things. You know, maintenance and costs and so on and so forth. So it's a much smoother process to say, Platteville, you want to build some new grass soccer fields, we're gonna give you a grant. So that's what we're gonna talk about during the budget season. Okay? And I kind of like that because I don't want to relinquish our authority over our rec amenities by any means. I mentioned wave engineering. That's not done yet. I talked to Nick Silbon a few today. The engineer that did the study is on vacation this week. I have some follow-up questions for him on that noise testing. So I'll give you another update at the next meeting on how that goes. So I'm trying to do the right thing with the residents up in Shoal. I can hear it, but it's not triggering right now the limits over what the state allows. Or what that factory's making. But I'm meeting with Josh Evans next week. He's flying up from Texas. He flies up once a month. And we're gonna talk more about how to mitigate some of the issues out there. Not a lot of issues. I don't really hear a lot about smell once in a while. Not a whole lot. I mean, it's over by your house.
I don't smell it at all.
You get more from the feedlot down there than you do from your dog food place, I think.
I
And
don't even smell that.
as far as noise, you can't hear anything over Highway 85 anyhow.
Well, that's what the study showed is that the highway itself is so loud that when the factory kicks on, it's not increasing the decibels much more than it already is. So it's complicated. So, but
No more sound pressure, just different sound.
it's different sound.
I think a lot of it is, everybody's hearing is so different that some people hear the higher pitch or the lower pitch more so than, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're, yeah.
And my wife tells me I can't hear anything, so.
Yeah, I can't either, so I guess that's probably why.
I can hear the dinner bell.
I did indicate that we were planning release of that litigation with the fire district. That's good news. Cersei attorney did a fine job.
That was fast.
That,
That
yeah,
was a good job.
that was, Cersei attorney did a really good job on that one, please. So
Well, that was absurd on the face of it.
it's, yeah. Mr. Nelson, and I had to talk about Windy Gap. So I've got some information as of today from Andrea Curl, a water attorney.
Great.
Is Mr. Nelson asked, well, if we invest in Windy Gap, how would this year impact our investment if we would have bought $5 million worth of water? And it says, Andrea Curl, she's gonna come back this fall with Brad Hagan. We'll do a water update.
Oh, that'd be
Probably
terrific.
budget. I'll just read this verbatim. Due to the drought conditions this year, the Windy Gap project was only able to pump a nominal amount of water. Typically, there's enough water legally and physically available in the system. The Windy Gap project can divert and pump water into Lake Granby in early July. When the project pumps, the first 3,000 acre foot of pumped water is allocated to Middle Park Water Conservancy District. That was an agreed upon mitigation compensation for Middle Park as a West Slope entity impacted by Windy Gap project. And eventually the Windy Gap permitting project. It's very complicated. Any Windy Gap water pump beyond those first 3,000 acre foot is then allocated to the Windy Gap participants, which we would have been if we would have bought on a pro rata basis. Participants are the owners of the Windy Gap units similar to CBT. The yield available to the Windy Gap participants varies year to year, often dramatically. Attached is a summary I previously prepared of the annual pumping volumes. Hopefully, once the Windy Gap pumping project, which is Chimney Hollow Reservoir, is fully operational, the annual yield will stabilize. She's gonna reach out to Northern and get some more information. But
They're not gonna say, are they?
on the allocations, there's definitely some years with zeros. So it's not a consistent.
There's not anything we could bank on.
So I'll tell you up front, Andrea is willing to come back. Brad's always willing to come back, so we'll schedule time. Probably during the October budget process to have a conversation, but I'm gonna be asking the board to have a water fund to look at buying some CBT. And if we end up having a conversation about selling our half share of ditch water, which we lease out for $4,000 a year. But if we're not really gonna use that ditch water, sell it to buy CBT that we can always use, we always have in the bank. We always have a quote.
If we could do acre foot to acre foot,
Yeah.
but I don't see how
We have over 500 acre foot of water allocation in that ditch.
yeah, so
You might get 25 acre foot of CBT. This depends on the cost. So, a lot to discuss during the budget process. What else is there? This is the grant I talked about. Last I ended up with what Lindsay's working on. So we talked about Platteview, the Commerce Center a little bit ago when David was here about the water line. We're also working with Jose Gonzalez up at Centennial Estates on 38. They're doing a minor subdivision. They're in the process of, if they're gonna do a 5-lot subdivision, they need to bring water. So the conversation is, we authorized a water study through Central Will County Water District, which they paid for, Jose paid for, to see if they can supply a direct line to the subdivision, or do we go through a master meter where we control the water? So that's a conversation we need to still have at some point.
where's the master meter for the dog food plant?
It's tied into our main system that goes over across, we have two, was it 8-9 inch lines that go across 85 that come from the water tank, and then goes up Front Street. We put in a new master meter on 34 to tie into their 30.
Okay, it's at 34.
That's a backup master meter. Yeah.
And is that the closest line that would run to that subdivision?
The Centennial, no. Centennial's way up on 38.
Yes. So I guess the question I'm asking is how is there water from CBT that goes anywhere near there?
Central, well, we get our line from County Road 25 that comes down through Shoal.
Yeah.
That line goes past 38, so they tie into that same big line to tie in to their subdivision on 38. So if you go up 60 and 85 to 60, and then that first section is 38, that blacktop goes all the way back to 23, the gravel pits, that's our road, and they're toward the end of that road.
Is there a water line under that 38?
At 25. There's a 2-inch line that goes out to serve the Gonzalez's, which is a different family residentially.
Right.
And it doesn't serve Hofschneider's, but also serves KLX over by the Energy Park, over by the Noble Energy, I should say. But the big line is in 25 going north and south. And it spears off 2-inch lines on all these roads to all these residential areas that need them.
So I guess the question I would ask is, if we were gonna control that water directly, would we have to spend the money to run a line to their border?
No, they are spending money.
Okay, so we're better off controlling that water then.
It just depends. David and I are gonna bring that conversation to you at the next meeting, because
Okay,
we did the agreement with Flatview Commerce Center. We contributed up to $225,000 for that project. That was decided by the board. Jose may or may not ask the board for a similar agreement. Lindsay and I are working we already had a meeting with the landowner on 32 near Camera 35 that wants to annex in. And we threw a bunch back on his plate because he has to talk to Central about water. And he has to talk to the state and county about wells, because he wants to do an augment non-plot plan for his subdivision. He wants to do a 20 residential lot subdivision out there. That's what he wants to do. And then there's another landowner that has a property down by your shop at 26 on the east side of 85, about a half mile, that wants to do more of a 30 to 40 lot residential subdivision. So these are all going to come your way at some point if they come through, and water is a big issue. We can't serve them from our community. We're gonna have to do either agreements through Central or let Central just deal with it. I think now we need to talk about a policy, how do we deal with these annexations? 'Cause I don't want to do it case by case. So that be coming your way.
And these flagpoles are gonna be a continuing problem.
Yeah, they are.
We're gonna allow it. Yeah, we need some kind of policy and nobody's gonna like it probably.
But they're all gonna be septic, obviously, but, the water. You know, we did the one for Gary Hendrickson on Bell Estates, a 7-lot residential a couple years ago. In hindsight, what benefit are we getting from that?
Yeah.
Now, Dave and I are kind of arguing, not arguing, bantering back and forth because we don't want to take on infrastructure we don't have to take on because it costs. My mind is if there's a development that brings in 20, 30, 40 units of water and it's light industrial, it's residential, they're not going to use their full quota. That just increases our bank portfolio in our water system. I look at my water, I get a share of water every year, 80% this year. I look at my numbers, I only need 40%. So the town is benefiting from that extra water.
Yeah.
That's why we build up so much water.
I don't know how much Kim uses and I don't wanna know.
Some properties overuse and we monitor that and we charge them a surcharge.
That's a lot of water.
This is 326,000 gallons.
On a full share. 80% is about 226.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 80%, is this the first year in how many years you've seen 80%?
We've had a few, but not too many.
Not too many, yeah.
But that's all I had. Thank you your questions.
Yeah. Any questions?
I have something I'd like to bring up, sure. We do the cost sharing for the business community. With the dry year we've had this year, and the experts fully expect next year to be equally or maybe even a little drier. And experts, you can just bet the farm on what they say. At any rate, I think, people aren't xeriscaping, and I understand why. It probably doesn't look quite as good to people. What if we built into the budget, cost sharing for residents xeriscaping, probably the front yard only, at least initially? Like we give, what is it, $2,500 for business? Maybe think about offering the same thing for residential. They would have to pass some things, like not just put rocks right on top of the dirt. There'd have to be felt under, just stuff like that. And it would have to be signed off by, I think, the town manager and the public works director. I think that makes sense. They would have to sign off on it in order to qualify for a $2,500 cost matching. But I think probably the time has come, because as we start getting, if we get into drier times, I don't want to have to do it as an emergency. And I really don't want to see, boy, there's a lot of brown lawns this year. And I understand that, but there is a way around it, and maybe it would help people think about that, doing that.
Well, yeah, it's either watering your lawn or buying groceries.
Yeah.
So,
Some municipalities just do kind of like I don't really know if they do grant or cost matching or cost reimbursement, but they kind of just do awards for, best lawns with xeriscaping, and just give those homeowners like a little plaque and a little certificate. I don't know, it kind of encourages people to voluntarily transform their lawns.
Las Vegas was giving people $6,000 or $8,000
Yeah, my
3 or 4 years ago.
My cousin retired from the Navy out in San Diego last year, 2 years ago, but when she built her house out there, she said they paid her to turf her entire yard and get rid of all the sod, so they conserved all the outdoor water. Only water was used indoors unless you're hand spraying or washing your car, but they paid thousands of dollars for turf. So there's other programs like this, and Steve and I talked about it. I remember back in 2023, when we updated the comp plan, landscaping was discussed at the time. I believe that's when, through legislation, we modified our code to allow some turf. We have several turf yards in town already. But that criteria, we don't offer anything for that, but it has to be professionally done. You just can't go to Home Depot and throw rugs on your carpet. It has to be something. And there's a couple of houses. There's one over on the river, around the corner from me. It looks really nice all year round. And Kenny Montoya's old house over in Rogers does a really nice job. So it can be done, but some people just want a xeriscape. I mean, they just want some river rock and some shrubs and drip systems and,
Well, they can't put in AstroTurf.
but Steve and I talked about this. I have no problem with it. We would talk about during budget because we have more just dead weed yards than we've ever had before. People struggle with affording to pay for water. But if there's an incentive to help do a little bit of beautification, it's an opportunity. I don't know. It's kind of case by case basis. So I don't know.
That's why I think having the two of you sign off on it, that way you can control it. Because there's plenty of people, some on my street, that they just put the rocks over top of the dirt. And boy, it makes a really great seed bed for weeds,
Yeah, the weeds.
because you can't control it then.
And there's
Then
some,
it's too late.
some properties have wood chips their entire front yards. From Stevens Circle.
I would even support that. Anything to keep the water usage down, because this isn't gonna get easier to deal with going forward.
I don't really care for the spiders and the wood chips and the rocks.
I don't like wood chips. They float
For a
away
couple
and
of
they
years,
blow
wood
away.
chips are just compost, it's just more
It
weed
just goes
food.
back. So I can schedule that for budget if the board looks to.
At the pleasure of the mayor,
What's that? What?
discuss it for
Oh,
budget.
definitely we can look into it at budget time. Think it'd be what we're looking at. I just had one thing to let y'all know about. You're familiar with, Miss Bruce. She came and talked to us last week in our presentation regarding an incident with her daughter. We did have a meeting with her this week or last week? Last week we had a meeting with her. And Troy did a good job of discussing, changes, what changes we'd make to that type of investigation going forward. She seemed satisfied with it. She was happy that we sat down and talked to her. And I don't think we'll hear any more with regards to that as far as the board is concerned. I know Troy may have more discussions with her and the chief possibly, but I think that issue's been resolved, so.
Good.
All right.
Sometimes just talking, they just want to be heard.
Yeah, she did what she wanted to let us know, and that's fine, she
Yeah,
did.
that's what we're here for.
That's what we're doing for. And that's all I had. Anybody else?
Larry's family, his kids, grandkids were very appreciative of the support that the town gave for his celebration of life, and the flags at half mast meant a lot to all of them, and wanted me to personally thank you guys for everything that we did for
It
him,
was
to honor him.
great. Nice memorial. Anyone else?
Nope.
If not, let's go home. Oh.
Who's coming up?